show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard.
Welcome to another episode of Tough Talk Tuesday. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Biggers. Alongside me is Rob, Sakura A, James. How's it going, everybody?
Good.
Some historical fights, but we're going to get to that here in just a minute. First, let's jump right into it. I want to talk about Valdez and Stevenson. Stevenson schooled them, guys. I mean, it was pretty wide. I think everybody did have it that way. Rob, did you have it a little closer or no?
No, not at all. Stevenson did what he wanted to in there. For the most part. What I was surprised of, though, was earlier, I thought Valdez was getting some momentum earlier when he was coming forward, and he landed a couple of shots. I think like through the first couple of rounds, I think they said he landed or tied with the most shots landed on Shakur in his whole career. So I was a little surprised coming out that Shakur didn't try to establish dominance from the beginning, but he's known to do that. I honestly think that'll get him in trouble later on in his career, though, because some of these guys up here in this division ain't playing.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that, too. And everybody. I wanted to get your thoughts on everything. I know, for the listeners, you're not into our group chat, but I had mentioned he was keeping that jab out there a little bit too long, and shortly right after I mentioned that, the ref started warning him about it. He did not stop that pretty much the entire fight, though, guys. And I think part of that, Rob, is those early rounds and Stevenson getting caught he figured out how to keep him at bay, technically illegally. What do you guys' takes on that? Because I think it definitely changed the course of that fight.
I wouldn't really say that it changed the course of the fight. I mean, it was one of the techniques he was using. He was allowed to use it. It's very effective. It's a good measuring stick. And as far as the amount of blows that were landed, tying, the previous record or whatever you want to call that against Shakur, there was some blows landed, but they were very. There was no power punches there landed. Nothing very substantial. Shakur in a landslide victory. I think Valdez took like the third round or something. I mean, it was pretty wide open for Shakur. It was a hell of a performance. Hats off to Shakur, man. That guy put a good fight together. He did what he did against Jamel Herring, and pretty much shut down the Oscar Valdez show. And that's it.
I mean,
but James,
he wasn't able to get
a lot coming from you.
Yeah.
But again,
I said that's a lot coming from you. That's a great compliment, because I know you looking at the footwork and the little nuances that a lot of people overlook.
What's difficult about fighting Shakur is that he does everything right. He is on
Not
point.
Everything.
Well,
Not
no,
everything.
I mean, I'm sure he's still learning, but I mean, he's just buttoned down. This guy's detailed and he's strong. He can punch, he can box, he moves, he does everything well, and there's no real weaknesses to pull apart there, And look out.
I mean, once he started keeping him at bay with that long jab and just holding him out there like that, he wasn't really able to get back in the rest of the fight.
Yeah, supreme boxer
I
against
knew it
the
was
puncher.
over when he started doing the earmuffs, guys. That's my clue right there. I'm like, that's it, and that's all he got. Like, there was no adaptation. That's what I was kind of surprised at. I really felt that there would be more than one plan or strategy in that corner for Valdez, and there really wasn't. I mean, the first two rounds, when Rob is alluding to Valdez landing some good straights, I mean, that was nice, but I just feel like those were like Shakur's filling out rounds, and he's figuring out his patterns and what he's doing. And then when he decided to turn it on and knew that he had him, that was it, and it was a shutout. So I was just kind of surprised that it was that much of a level difference, because Valdez looked so well against Berchelt, and because he did use some slick boxing in that fight to break down Berchelt. So now I'm wondering how much of that win was based on Valdez's skill level and style versus Berchelt, being what many have now proposed as a damaged boxer at this point. But neither here nor there. Let's get back to the Shakur fight. Yeah, he did make it to Shakur show, and I was just like in awe of some of the maneuvers he was using in there. I mean, and like James is saying, it's only more to come. It's only going to get better. And his age is so young that we can expect a lot more out of him. So that's pretty amazing to look forward to,
Yeah, but here's the thing. In a fight like this fight, you have to show Shakur, you have to show us something to challenge Shakur. There should have been something out there that he could take away with him, that he needs to work on, do better, that there might be somewhat of a challenge in there. And when you say Valdez didn't adapt, he never stuck to the original plan. He never even stuck to the original plan. And that's the issue. And that's the issue, was he didn't close the gap. He didn't want to get in and trade with them. He didn't want to brawl. He didn't even want to make it a fight. So instead, he just got beat up on the outside the whole way through. He had a little success early on when he did attempt to close the gap, get in there and fight. But after he tested those punches, which you got to give Shakur credit, yes, he landed flush and he hurt him bad. But after he did that, Valdez no longer wanted to trade with him, no longer wanted to get in, and the fight was pretty much over.
And that's one thing I don't understand. I mean, Stevenson was fighting like a seasoned vet, as I just said. I mean, he was using little tricks of the trade. Remind me a lot of B-Hop, you know. I think he can surpass B-Hop. He looked great. Now, he got away with some stuff, but that's not going to get called in most fights. The holding like B-Hop used to do, you know, with the straight arm deal, it's neither here nor there. Now, some refs might take a point, but it's rare, you know.
I mean, for me, I did think he might have stuck that out there.
A little too long.
That jab stayed out there a little too long, you know.
He knows Valdez got popped.
Pressed him a little bit, but for the most part, it's not like if they'd have stopped him, it was going to change the outcome. No. Like, it's not like it was going to make a difference.
I mean, Valdez had to get in. That was really his only plan, right? I mean, we could tell that from watching the fight. And if you're not able to get in because he's keeping you at range with this, what are you going to do? I mean, that's like, Shaquille O'Neal's palming somebody's head and they're just swinging, you know? You can't get inside. You can't land nothing, you know?
Right.
It definitely changed. In my mind, it definitely changed the course of the fight. Now,
but I don't feel like it did because of the fact that there are so many different tools that this man could have used. That's just what he did when he felt like, okay, he's getting too close or whatever. But trust me, there was other backup plans and C's and D's to those plans that he didn't even have to tap into.
Oh,
no, he was probably like, wow, this is easier than I thought it was going to be.
No, I agree. I think Stevenson would have won even if he had to stop that. He got deducted a point, maybe even two. I think he would have still won. He could afford those points either. As also, but my thing is Valdez, okay, after coming in and you see that's not working, at what point do you just say, I'm going to let him come to me, I'm going to try to set some traps, try something different, you know?
Did the corner advise, did anybody hear the
corner shouldn't even have to advise that. If you have a brain in your head, you can see that this is not working.
Wait, no, it's not working, but you're supposed to be able to tell the boxer what else to try, how else to try it. Like everybody knows, I need to get on the inside or else I don't have a fight in this. He knew that, but he just wasn't like, there was no instruction on, okay, so this way didn't work. So what should I try next? How can I get inside? And I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know what. I don't know. James, did you hear anything in the corner that was advising him on how to actually get on the inside?
Nothing like that.
And he's coming from a camp like Canelo's. I mean,
well, that's the problem, Lucas. But that's the point, Shakur. But we all know Canelo has trouble fighting guys that can box like this. Canelo has major trouble.
He didn't look the best against Plant when he was out slicking him a few rounds.
No, he didn't.
But
Canelo has issues with guys like this. So it's Reynoso. Reynoso, and it was a very bad matchup for Reynoso because they don't fight. They don't fight well against boxers. They want to move forward. They want to brawl you. They want to outmuster you. They want to outfight you. In Canelo's case, at some point, he's going to try to in some fights, Canelo is so heavily talented, he can outbox you, but you really don't see those fighters outboxing anybody like this. You don't see it.
I mean, I like all that you're saying Reynoso's camp is known for. I mean, those are things that I really get excited about in a fight. But at what point in this illustrious career do they, Reynoso specifically learned some different techniques to add to the arsenal? This is a situation where he didn't look too good in that fight. And with what was being advised or what wasn't being advised,
Well,
Now
you're
it
right.
could have been just the talent, what the skill level was what it was. Or it could have been also some size difference was at play, right? With the reach and the height and stuff. That wasn't play. He can't do anything about that. But there had to have been like, what's up with you double jab it. You know what I'm saying? Like move around, go underneath. You got to try to slide in. And he was
but
doing
you
a lot
got to
of
stop.
leaning.
You got to stop and think that Oscar Valdez has never really shown that dimension. He's always been a straightforward fighter, moving straight back and straightforward is what he does. He doesn't really use a lot of lateral movement, although he has in the past. I'm sure I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not his style. And I think what it came down to is a man with supreme boxing skills outdoing a puncher. And we've seen it before, and we'll keep saying this. Last one we saw was what was his name? Cesar Martinez against Chocolatito, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Supreme boxing skills is what wins the day, and that's what we saw here.
So you're saying we're expecting too much from Valdez?
Well,
no.
Stylistically, I mean, there's not a lot he can do with the guy who punches as well as Stevenson, who is defensive like Stevenson, who is just as sharp overall. You just can't land punches. Sorry, you got a real issue.
I mean, at some point though, you would think that camp had to work on something other than just coming forward. No traps, no, anything else. Feinting. Yeah. What was your other plan? Because he followed him around that ring for 12 rounds.
Yeah, and he ate leather for 12 rounds. It just wasn't a good plan. And I think, one of the fights are won in the corner, but also lost in the corner.
Yeah, I think his corner really dropped the ball on this one. What's next for Shakur, guys?
Oh, well, that's not the question. The question is he the best 130 pounder now after this? But most importantly, does he belong on the pound for pound list?
Talent-wise, I think he does.
I don't know if he's there with the resume yet, but I think he's going to be there, if that makes sense. I've always been
for
one of the guys.
For a long time.
Yeah, I've always been one of the guys you got to show me first. Even though I believe in you, I have to see it on your resume first. You actually have to earn it before I put you on the pound for pound list. I think he will be there, but I can't put him up there yet.
I need to update my top 10.
I do. I need to look at it too. So he might already be up there. I might be lying to you right now.
Yeah, I really feel like he made the top 10. However, it would have been a very much better case for him to make for that pound for pound had he had a more competitive fight with Valdez, because that was supposed to be the defining fight for him. And either he made it look so easy that we are now like, he ain't making the top, the top pound for pound list due to this, lackluster performance by Valdez. But it could have been that he's just that's much further advanced. I'm sorry, I'm getting my words all tied up tonight. But he's just much more advanced than a Valdez. However, I do think that he was able to show so much dominance in that fight and secure the fight that, it's a point where, he's got to crack that pound for pound list. We can't keep holding him back because he's making the competition look so much, less than him. Because that's going to always be the case with a lot of these guys.
You were asking about what's next, and I'm thinking, why not go undisputed? Try to get that done this year. So that's 2 fights that I think where he would be the natural favorite. One of them is Japanese. I think his last name is Oshigawa or Kashigawa, I forget. And another one is a lesser known guy from, I believe he's from Venezuela. Maybe his last name is Gutierrez. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Konichi Ogawa is one. And I forget the other guy's name. He's the other alphabet champion. But why not go for undisputed? Because if those fights are doable, why not?
Yeah.
Why not try to get undisputed? And it seems to be the flavor of the month is undisputed. So work on that this year. And then next year, maybe move up to 135.
Yeah, that'll be a good feather in his
Rinse
cap.
rinse and repeat.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know if anybody currently at 130 can really stop him anymore. So from now on, we're basically just saying he can unify if he wants, but we're kind of expecting that, right? So, what is the fight that you guys would like to see with Shakur Stevenson?
I mean, drop them damn belts and let's go on up to lightweight. That's what I say. You already undisputed. There's where's the money? That was the money fight at that weight class to me.
Yeah.
I mean, what else is he gonna get? That the money that he just made, like every fight is supposed to be an advancement in the pay that you getting. I don't see him topping the Valdez fight numbers with staying at 130 right now.
Yeah, I mean, he can go ahead and claim undisputed. I don't think anybody's really going to argue that for them.
So the other cat is Roger Gutierrez. He's 26-3. He's been knocked out twice. It's kind of a gimme. The Japanese kid may be as well. But still, it'd be nice to see him accomplish that and then move on up in the following year. But what was your question about who he should fight next, or what's a good... What
fight do you want to see him in next?
Robson Conceição. That name's not going away. You know, he fought Valdez in his last fight. Valdez really, really had to pull one out in the end. It was a tough fight for Valdez, but I think because he's such a great boxer that he would give Stevenson a really good battle. That could be a really, really hot, contentious 12 rounds. I would sit down to see that in a heartbeat.
Rob?
Unless it's pay-per-view.
I mean, if you're looking at staying at 130,
I'm eating beans. I'm eating beans, guys.
If you're looking at him staying at 130, I'm looking at Hector Luis Garcia, who beat Chris Colbert last. He's an undefeated fighter at 17-0. He's coming up in the ranks. Beat a great fighter, Chris Colbert.
Yes.
I think that would be a good matchup if he wants to stay at 130. Otherwise, I'm with James. You got to be undisputed. You're now a unified world champ. You're testing the pound for pound rankings right now. The big money is up in the next weight class. I don't think he should do that though. I don't think he should move up into that next weight class.
From Rob? Rob says everybody should move up.
Yeah, but
this is really shocking.
I don't think he should yet. I think he needs to stay at 130. He needs to be undisputed and try to defend there. And try to defend that undisputed title, because 135 is just too crowded. It's too much. And then with him in the mix, we're really going to get into a mess there, because then some of these fights are going to have to be made. And the ones that will be made aren't going to do us any good as boxing fans. I don't want to see him versus Comey. I don't want to see him versus Fortuna. I don't even want to see him versus Isaac Cruz. Those are all stylistic nightmares. Stylistic nightmares. And they're just hand-fed to him. They're going to be hand-fed to him. And it's just going to boost his ego even further.
But they all make more money than the fight you mentioned at 130, though.
Not only that, I don't think he's going to draw much entertainment from the rest of 130. I mean, I think a lot of the fights are going to be easy for him. I mean, Shakur Stevenson at the top right now, and he's way above number 2.
I mean, the reason name out here, guys, I'm going to put Leo Santa Cruz in the mix.
I don't even want to see that. I'm going to be completely honest. I think stylistically it is horrific for Leo Santa Cruz.
But listen, it's a super featherweight fight, and then it's a noteworthy name that he can have on his record before he moves up. And
there's a lot of good competition. There's no question.
Yeah, right now they got Leo as a 130 pounder. Like, they still got him categorized as if he's a super featherweight. So
he's still ranked, yeah.
Yeah,
would.
he'll fit the bill really good because he has so many great people
Sure.
on his record.
Yeah. What I'm suggesting is more of an accomplishment. Just hit that undisputed, and then move up. Maybe a defense here and there. But I mean, those he could be like a little Pac-Man and just eat one, eat two. He's got the undisputed. Those fights are probably not big paydays.
Yeah.
They're not. He's not Tank Davis.
They're not big
This
risks.
is Shakur Stevenson.
Though.
He could. Yeah, they're not. And then 1, 2, undisputed. Case closed. And then he moves up. I think that'd be a good thing for him to do.
I hear you, and I think it's a good thing for him. I just don't think it's marketable. I really don't. I mean, you can say undisputed all you want, but I don't think anybody's going to give a shit.
I mean, if
I would. That's something I would really. I would consider.
And like hardcore fans, I think would enjoy seeing him get that accomplishment. But I think common fans are just like, I don't give a shit.
Hey, you want bang for your buck?
I just have them two fight. I had the two belt holders fight, and then whoever wins, I only have to fight one of them.
That would be easier. That's a good way to go. Yeah.
See, you should be a matchmaker.
Yeah, we need to
be a matchmaker.
We need to make you Shakur matchmaker.
Let me end all of this talk by saying this. Truth be told, any matchup for him next is a bad matchup. He's just that good. He's better than all of these guys. Period. 130, 135. It don't matter. He's proven he is more talented than all of these guys. He is a style nightmare for anybody like Pitbull Cruz, Jojo Diaz, Javier Fortuna can't even compete there. He's a stylistic nightmare.
Hold up, just a minute.
Did you read that? Did you read the comment? Is that where you came from that? Because
I did.
Art just said Jojo Diaz or Pitbull Cruz. We did have CJ Hooker also say versus Ryan Garcia at 135.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, but what I wanted to bring up is how come all of a sudden you are not bringing up your number 135 pounder Gervonta Tank Davis? You bringing up everybody else's name, but I am just noticing that you're not saying anything about that matchup.
Easy, simple. It'll never be made. He's with Bob M. He's with Bob M. Tank is with Floyd. That fight will never be made.
I'd never say never, but I would say it's unlikely. That's fair.
I wouldn't say never at all because I know that, Mayweather Promotions, they will feed you to the wolves if you go by their track record from previous some of their previous boxers. Like at a certain point, they be like, okay, you gonna fight. Like you want to really fight? We gonna let you really fight. You on your own, they do that.
Plus him and Tank, the back and the forth. I don't know if Tank's gonna stay with Mayweather Promotions. I mean, we can't guarantee that. So
I thought he had exited that program.
I don't know.
No, he has not.
He's debating it.
Okay.
No.
I think he's got.
Well, he has his own promotion. I think they said he has Gervonta, like what is it, GTD Promotions already.
Most of those are shell companies.
But Charlos, they have Lions only, but they still a part of Premier Boxing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it could go that way as well. But I mean, at a certain point, Mayweather Promotions will feed you to the wolves at a certain point. I'm just saying. I've seen it. We've seen it in the past.
I'm curious though, Rob. I gotta come to you on this one. Just a quick hypothetical, because you said Shakur's at the top for 130 and for 135. Are you also saying then that if it happens, he would beat Tank?
Oh, that's interesting.
So, talent-wise, as far as the smarts and all, you know what? Tank's power is something else. Period.
Okay. Well,
Tank's power is something else. So stylistically, I think he can match up well with Tank. But if Tank's going to bring it, which we know he will, he ain't going to back down. He's going to bring it. That power would hurt the kid. But
that's what we want to see. We want someone that we can see. We want the chin tested from who we want
all of that.
That would be the ultimate. We want to see him against someone that can test his chin.
This is a marquee matchup, and we're years from it. You're talking Tank Shakur?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're years off of that. Couple maybe.
But Rob was saying not even to suggest it could happen. What I'm saying is that is a fight that would be very enticing to fans because it offers something that we haven't been able to see Shakur against, which is somebody who's known to have amazing power.
But the issue is,
I'll go out of my way and say Shakur dog walks him. It will look just like Valdez to me.
You can't say that now. You can't say that, and that's the issue.
I just did.
You can't say that now.
Lucas, because although he doesn't use his skill, he does have skills. Like that's a difference when you choose to brawl. But when you need to use it, I want to see if Gervonta gonna use it.
I don't know. I from somebody as young as Shakur Stevenson and seeing how well he's able to perform and use his skills and keep his range, and the stylistically of Gervonta Davis, who's usually just coming forward. 9 out of 10 times, I'm just coming forward, just like Valdez is. He's able to control the range, and I honestly don't see Tank getting in. He might get in and throw some craziness, and he has the puncher's chance. But round after round after round, you're going to want to be Shakur.
I think we'll see this fight at some point. I don't see Tank moving up,
or not
because I don't think that he has that size to move up to 140. Maybe he does. I'm not sure.
And his reach will be way too small. Yeah.
At some point, they will be in the same weight division. Probably, I'm thinking maybe 2023 at some point, 2024, and that might get made. But that's not something we're going to see anytime soon. They're both very young in their careers, but I'd love to see it.
Honestly, guys, I want to see. I prefer the Garcia fight, as CJ was saying. I would also like to see Lomachenko. I think stylistically, those are just better matchups that are going to look more competitive.
The Lomo matchup to me is more intriguing than all of them.
Yeah, but what's going on in Ukraine right now, I don't think we'll see.
You're correct. That's the one that's like very tantalizing.
I don't see Lomachenko anytime soon in the ring, simply because he's got a big project he's working on right now, and that is fighting for his country, and it's going to be hard. I'm glad Usyk is out of there in a sense and training in. Mm-hmm. I think he's training in Poland, and so. It's a different story with Lomachenko and all the other boxers that are involved in that.
But a horrible situation there. I mean, dang, I'm hoping I don't even want to put it in the atmosphere that Russia could still be attacking Ukraine a year from now. Like, I don't even want to think about it. I'm thinking in a year.
That conflict can go on for a long, long time.
It could, but I'm really praying that it doesn't, is what I'm saying.
Just trying to wish it to not
Same
happen.
Here. Same here.
Yes. It's just too much carnage going on. Yeah. But to say that we know that the Ukrainian government is saying that they're okay with these boxers having these, little sabbaticals to go and do the fights. And that's what Usyk took advantage of. So once Loma is there for, an uncertain amount of time, even like 6 or 7 months or even up to a year, he will be looking at it in a different, perspective, as in I can go and prepare for this fight and still come back to help my country after. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, timing is everything, basically.
For sure, yeah. Never say never. CJ says Davis versus Stevenson would be great. The winner of Haney and Kambosos versus Stevenson. I like both those options as well. But I'm agreeing, CJ, I think he needs to move up. I mean, I would like to see him get the accomplishment of Undisputed, but I think we all can just agree and just crown him that. But if he wants to get it, by all means, I'll sit through those fights for sure.
I like Shakira's suggestion is let them figure their little unification out and then meet up with the man.
That would definitely be ideal.
That makes sense.
The best way to go about it. CJ continued. Let's get to the fight of the century for the women. Taylor versus Serrano exceeded all expectations for me. Give me 1, 2, 3 minute rounds. Yeah, or 12 3-minute rounds, my Yeah, that fight I would like to see if there is a rematch, and I'm dying.
Let's give it
there's
the
a
proper.
rematch.
Let's give it the proper
I want
glory.
to see that be the first
it
one that has a
deserves,
3-minute round. Because, look, CJ, not to outdo you, but let's get a fight of the century just for the women. No, that's an all-time classic. That's for all boxing. That's women, that's men. I don't care. That was one hell of a fight.
That is so sweet of you, Lucas. That is so generous and sweet of you to realize that any fight, they can go on the list with any fight from any decade as far as the excitement, the competitiveness, and just the grit and determination of them two women.
Yeah, that was a female Ward Gotti. Like, that's how I was thinking about it while I was watching. I was like, I'm going to remember this fight for quite a long time. And just to see everybody commenting and just going crazy about it made me feel great. The only thing that made me feel a little bit bad is, Clarissa Shields. She needs a fight like that, and she can't get one. She's been looking. She's going high and low. She's moving her weight every which way she can, and she can't get a fight like that. But regardless, women's boxing won huge, and I'm hoping that this was a turning point for the sport to draw more attention to it, to draw more money to it, to in turn get more talent into women's boxing.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see if it is a continuation, because anytime you have any movement, especially as strong a movement as that fight was, you're gonna always have a lot of pushback. And the thing of it is there are a lot of female United States boxers that are female not getting any attention that are on the level of a Serrano at least, in a Taylor. We don't, the names are not being mentioned, the names that they're not being promoted. Some of them can't even get a fight on a, like a local card right now. So it's a long way to go. Serrano had her Puerto Rican fans in New York, and Katie had her Ireland fans there as well. Now, what does an African American female per se? Who do they target when they want to fight? Because the support is not there as far as the ethnicity or community backing. And then who does a Caucasian chick here? Who do they get? Because that's also not the strongest. Sorry, Lucas. Your demographic is waiting off for boxing.
Yeah.
So we got a ways to go, because they're not going to just take two. They're not going to say, hey, Katie and Serrano made X amount of dollars. They filled the house. Let's rack them up. Let's start doing it. No, they're going to start picking apart demographics and different things, and who's got this many tweets. And they're going to start compiling all of this and deciding that the risk is still not worth, or the reward is not worth the risk for some of these ladies' matchups, until they can get a lot more marketing, a lot more exposure, a lot more support.
Well, they did. They certainly got it in this particular matchup. The whole week was just filled with really, really nice activity. Press conferences, everything they did was just on point. So hats off to DAZN putting this together with as an MVP. So Jake Paul's company.
Yes.
Yeah, and then everything. I mean, everything I saw on Fight Night from MSG was just on point. Walkouts, music, sound. The commentators, I tend to turn the sound down. I don't really need to hear that, but
I wish I would turn my sound down.
Especially with DAZ.
Yes, I wish I would turn it down.
I wish.
Pretty bad.
I sometimes.
They had
so
it good that night. They had it good that night. They had Jessica at
no
ringside and
complaints for that fight.
Clarissa was chiming in. They had Jessica at ringside,
a good point,
and Clarissa was chiming in.
But you gotta admit,
she had her favorites too. The thing about bringing up Clarissa, though, Lucas, as you were mentioning, is it was sounding like during her post-fight, analysis, where she was saying, I don't have that matchup. I'm looking. She's like, Savannah is going to be a good, it's going to be a good beef. and a good scrap, but it's still like she's not on the magnitude of what a Katie Taylor was, and or Serrano or Amanda Serrano's record is either, or my own. So she's recognizing that she doesn't have that dance partner. Will she be able? I mean, are they going to wait to develop somebody into that, or is somebody going to have to move up? She's already moved all the way down to super welterweight. And back up to middleweight, like what?
So let's put that to the side if we can, though, for a minute. Let me give credit back to what we're talking about real quick first, because Carissa is an important note here, but it's a side note. We got to give credit back to what they did that night, and that's what I want to talk about, guys. There was 19,187 in attendance at Madison Square Garden live for a main event attraction for the two, well, I wouldn't say the two biggest, because they're not even the two biggest, but two of the biggest female boxers ready to go toe-to-toe. That has to give you goosebumps. Back to reality and what Shakur said. There was Irish fans in attendance. There was the Madison Square Garden New York fans, the Puerto Rican fans in attendance. They all were there live, both rooting on their fighters. And the Irish fans almost outweighed the Puerto Ricans in the house.
I think they did.
That's hard to do.
They did by a lot.
They did.
They did by a lot.
Yeah, they did.
And that's hard to do. Now, in terms
of... Which was great. It was amazing to me to even see that.
Right. Now, and that's what set the tone. In terms of how big of a fight this was, and how big both combatants came in and made it a fight. This was Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward. This was Luis Castillo versus Diego Corrales. This was Hagler Hearns. This was as big of a fight in boxing because of everything that it made to note, everything that it stood for. It's up there, and it forever should be held as one of the biggest fights in primetime boxing. That being said, when they got into the ring, boy, did they deliver. They both delivered. And back to what you're saying, Amanda Serrano is 2 weight classes below. And she's the title holder with 42 wins. 2 weight classes below, and moved up and took on this fight against the undisputed champ in Katie Taylor, 20-0. And probably, guys, the most feared female, one of the most feared female fighters in the sport. So that's how big it was. And they both delivered. There was no knockouts, and boy, could there have been.
It was close.
Because it definitely was.
That
both girls bloody.
Situation, oh my God, like Lucas was saying, if they had that extra minute.
And you know what? You have to give Katie Taylor credit, though. She didn't even back down when she was hurt. She didn't even try to hold her. I was begging for her, screaming at the TV to hold her. People probably thought I was talking about somebody trying to grab somebody to dance to or something like that. No, hold the girl. Katie wouldn't even hold her, y'all. They bought it. They bought it big, and you have to thank the promoters for that. Yes, you might hate Jake Paul, but he hit a home run in this one. Yeah, some people don't like Eddie Hearns a whole bunch. He did his thing in this one as well. And it was a great night. And you know what? They had 2 great fights before this fight. They had 2 great fights even before this fight to even set the tone even bigger.
CJ wants to know who we had winning. He had Serrano. I had Serrano.
And that's the big question.
But that's the problem is you see how long we didn't even really get to that, right? because that isn't even all that important to us right now. The fight was that amazing and so close that really if it veered one way or another, you're not too horribly upset. I had Serrano winning, and I think the swing rounds were mainly determined by those loud Irish fans. And if you don't believe there was more Irish fans, Rob, they played Sweet Caroline. Did you not hear that during the fight? I mean, man!
Yeah.
Yeah,
I definitely feel like Serrano won that fight. It was many reasons why. I even picked up on something in the 10th round that got missed or overlooked because Katie picked up and picked that knee up so fast and kept swinging. The ref was just like, screw it, let him go at it. But the thing of it is I got problems with, I did speak to a couple of people that judge for a living, and I was just asking them, hey, what's up with the 10-8 round? Why didn't that come into play in that round where Katie was barely, hanging in there? Like, I mean, it had got to the point where I felt that her team should have stopped the fight. She was taking so much damage after she was already hurt. But they explained to me, like, they don't think that it should be a 10-8 round. It's very rare that you get a 10-8 round.
Well, I think one of the judges did score it a 10-8.
Right. I felt like, to me, I would have gave that a 10-8. But people are saying, oh, you don't know boxing and you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, what are you talking about? She was barely on her feet. You could definitely score that as 10-8. I'm surprised the other two did. Times in the round that she got hurt.
I wouldn't have a problem with a 10-8. But I mean, overall, the entire fight was just really, really electrifying. And you guys talk about 3-minute rounds for women. Fuck that. You know what? Let's just have the men fight 2 minutes for men. Fuck it. Get down to business. And as we say at heavyback boxing, get in, get off, get out.
Right.
I
mean, if the guys had to if the guys only had 2 minutes, we would see a lot more action. We know this.
Get down to business and this running around, up and down and back and forth.
When you can actually KO somebody and you're this close, and that bell rings and it's like ding, and it's like
well, KO sounds so. You can't really eliminate that from boxing, but there could be KOs in 2-minute rounds, though. There could.
Well,
but no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I know that.
Let me just add that most of these girls, when you talk to them one-on-one, they train with men, and it's 3 minutes rounds. So it's all this stuff about no, it's gonna be too rough for women, and it's this and that. These women are not even training with women. They training with a guy in the ring with them, and they're doing it 3 rounds. So why the hell couldn't they make it 3 rounds? And then still keep it 10 rounds for the moment. I heard one of the commentators, he was saying make it 12 rounds and keep it at 2. So make it 12 rounds, but then you still have 2 rounds. And Clarissa was like, nah, make it 3 minutes, okay? Because she wants to be able to knock somebody out.
She wants KOs. Yeah. That plays to her advantage. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but yeah, no. Fight of the century for women, fight of the century there, man. That was it so far, anyway.
Yeah.
In terms of your question, Lucas, who won? Of course, I have the stats right here. So I'm just going to pull those out real quick just to go over.
David Hickey says Taylor won that fight 6-4.
Oh, hell no.
Go ahead.
So here's what the stats say, though, because the stats are very interesting. As in terms of punches thrown, Serrano was way busier than Taylor. Serrano threw 624, Taylor threw 375. Okay. But then so of course, landed, Serrano had more punches landed than Taylor at 173, Taylor 147. But then you look at the percentage numbers are big in favor of Taylor. Taylor was at 39%, Serrano 28%. Okay. And then you go down into power punches, and then the power punches tell the same story. Serrano threw more, landed more, but percentage-wise, landed less. So that's why I had it a draw. It was really a draw in my eyes. I thought they should have gave him a draw, split decision draw. We should see it again. Both girls fought their ass off. Neither girl should have lost that fight.
I just find it hard to believe that every swing round, just coincidentally, every swing round was a Taylor round.
Well, you know what I'm gonna say though.
Out of all those
right?
swing rounds that they claim was swing rounds, I just find it hard to believe that they all went for Taylor. Like, come on now. Especially when Amanda is forcing the action and landing the power punches, the stronger power punches in the fight. So I just like, I'm like, okay, this is, I hate to be like, this got me with one eye open, like, what you doing, you know? It's like, you know, we now need to go to Ireland so Katie can have a home, you know, a home situation. Now, I'm not all against Katie Taylor though, because I was, you know, you guys heard me throughout the fight. I was like, guys, like, she got that grit, like she's trying to come back. Like, I love that about her, that she was not trying to come back. But I went for Serrano in the beginning because I knew that she likes to be in the pocket, and she's very vulnerable there. And that's one thing that I was always scared of, is when she met somebody with the right type of power. Which, shout out to Serrano for moving up 2 weight classes, and she kept that damn power. Like, she didn't lose no power, obviously. So it's like, how that happened? How she ended up getting through those rounds, I do not know, but she did. And I feel like some of these judges was like, well, hell, I don't know how she made it through the fight, but since she made it through, let's give it to her.
David says nobody scores around 10-8 without a knockdown. Now, that's not the case. One judge actually did score to 10-8. The problem is, I think more judges scored a 10-8, because that was definitely a 10-8 round. And if you add the 60 seconds onto that, one, who knows, Taylor might not have made it out of that round. And two, it would at least probably caused a knockdown, more than likely, so it would have forced the others to move it to a 10-8, which would have changed the fight for Amanda Serrano.
That's very true. Yeah. I mean, not just that, like, people do, like he was saying, nobody does. It just, I didn't realize that a judge did do it in that particular fight.
Oh, yeah, there was one. There was one.
That they have 10-8 rounds without an actual knockdown. It just happens, like, if you're hurt to the point where you get hurt over and over again in the same round and you're barely hanging in there, that is a 10-8 round.
It's happened before. It's not that uncommon.
No.
Yeah.
I should say it's rare, but it does happen.
But they almost have to fight each other again, right? Like, a rematch, where else do you go? Because every fight from here is going to seem like a step down, no? Just like we talked about, now, okay, Clarissa Shields needs a fight like this. She can't find one. Because the sport of women's boxing is not, you know, that deep that you can just pull these people out of a hat and fight them, you know? To get that kind of excitement, you need a big fan base. You need an Irish, you need the UK, you need Mexico, you need something like that, because America, nobody follows us. Well, you got to earn shit the hard way.
You know, Toronto, black boxers are seen as like bad boys.
Exactly.
You know, they got to be bad or get on people, agitate them in order to get, you know, marketing or get following, which that sucks too. Mm-hmm. So, and they want a white guy to be like a Cinderella man, like, you know, perfect. Like, these stereotypes really need to stop and just like people based on their skill in the actual ring.
It is a damn shame, but I'm sure a lot of people didn't know Serrano until this fight.
Right, but you know, it's a shame is that Taylor's never fought in Ireland or maybe in her hometown. I think it's just the whole country in general. So maybe she's always fought in England, and all over the place. Who knows?
Which is weird, James, because they said
she's Irish. She should have one.
No, I mean, they were talking like she's the biggest Irish athlete in the game right now, right?
I mean,
Like, that's
such
that's
an
what they were
enormous
saying.
following. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's what they
But
were
guys,
saying.
remember they said that they started out where women could not fight at all in that.
Right. In
True.
Ireland, yeah.
True.
So
Good
when you
point.
start from
Good
that
point.
point, and she's got to like look like a boy in order to go in the gyms and just train. You starting from a place where it's like, what, a woman fighting? Where? Not in our country. So that's a lot. That's a lot of pushback that you're having to go through. I think I talked to a lady named Daisy Long, who she was a fighter, beautiful lady. She's very beautiful, but she could not fight in her country either. It was not allowed. She's like Slovakian or something like that. They didn't allow boxing back then for females. So it's a lot of these different countries that it's just like, hell no. Like even Cuba, per se, is like a nah.
Well, here's to hoping that Serrano Taylor actually changed some of those views, and maybe we get some more fighters coming out of these countries.
Exactly. One more thing, Lucas, before we move off the women, we got to give a shout out to that fight. Franchon Cruz, oh my God, she is now a unified, undisputed title holder. I think it's at welterweight. I mean, that was a nice fight too. Like they put on a great show.
I think she's at the matchroom for putting on the women.
That was a good one. But hey, that Vargas, Liam Smith, that was crazy. That was a good fight.
He switched up the game, didn't he? He switched it up quick. He adapted to what Vargas had to offer. And after that point, it was just like, wow, it got bloody and everything. But Franchon, she's one of those females that has had a rough time with cancellations and COVID opponents and different things for like 2 or 3 years that's kept her from being undisputed way longer than she needed to be, especially remember the lady that she fought that actually won the title. Even though I believe Franchon won that fight, the title was given to her opponent that tested positive for serious pig. And so she was able to get that fight overturned and get her the WBC belt.
That was a lady named Alejandra Jimenez, I believe.
Jimenez, yes.
Yeah, and so that was canceled after the fact, or she was disqualified for her drug test or whatever. But I saw Dezern or Franchon Cruz Dezern just laying leather on her and would not move her back. And Franchon can thump. Yeah. And wasn't even phasing this person.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't even phasing Jimenez. It was.
When she fought her, she said,
I was like, wait a minute here. Wait a minute. There's something going on there. Yeah. Anyway, there's some restitution.
Yeah.
She got it done. So middleweight or super, because she fought at 167.
Okay. So, I'm sorry.
That's a big girl.
That's right. And that's why they feel like her and Clarissa could eventually have a fight too.
Well, they have.
Well, that was like in the beginning of their careers, though.
Yeah.
But that's something that could be cooking.
I'm sure it is. I mean, they gotta build.
I'm all for it.
Man. CJ says Hearn wants the rematch in Ireland. Will Serrano go there? I don't have any doubt that Serrano will go there. If so, she would have to knock her out to win.
Yeah, very true.
Very possible.
And then the trilogy in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And then he went on to say Clarissa is going to get robbed if she doesn't knock out Marshall. You heard it here first.
Yeah, Savannah Marshall is heavily liked, and this would be a UK bout. So, the crowd could still have that same effect that you were talking about, Lucas, where they sway the judges. And, you're never safe when you're out of the country and you're not home turf. So, yeah, she would need to find her inner power and make it happen in 2 minutes.
You're talking Shields. You're talking Shields. What's her name?
Savannah Marshall.
Savannah Marshall. Is this a DAZN kind of fight?
Yes.
When is that?
Then it will get made.
And
They're
shout
not
out
fair.
to the
They're not
show too,
failing us.
because they
Yeah.
are promoting these women like never before when everybody else has shied away, except for Showtime. Showtime had Clarissa in the past, remember? But for the most part, these distributors are shying away from the female fights. So we gotta give credit where credit's due.
Well, I think that will change after this last weekend.
I hope so. I really hope so.
If they can sell out MSG and, do as well as they did, that really changes. That's going to have a really big positive effect on women's fighting.
Yeah.
It's on the promoters. They've got to step up. They got to do what Hearn did. They got to do what Paul did. But it to me, if the question is will we see a step up now with women's boxing like this? I don't know, because there's a lot that has to happen for that to come true. And one of them being the fighters themselves. You have to have them willing to step up or down. And I say up or down because we talked about Clarissa. She's not been willing to move down. I understand that weight, when you're used to carrying a set weight, it's more dangerous.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
There have been fights that people have been calling her out in the lower weights, and she's told them to move up.
But that's after she's moved down 5 weight classes. She has titles. She has 3 undisputed titles in 3 weight divisions. Plus, she's had 2 other weight classes.
Then it's not on Clarissa, okay? But
Yeah.
these other women have to be willing to move up then, to like
Cecilia
Amanda
Brackett,
did.
for instance. Cecilia would never move. She was at 147. She was a welterweight. She wouldn't go to super welterweight to face Shields. That was one example. There are other examples of people that's like, wanting her to pretty much drain herself, and as she say, lose her booty to fight them. And she's like, no, y'all need to at least come
That's
up.
right.
I done came down all the way from middleweight and super middleweight. You can come, you can meet me at super welterweight. That's not too much to ask.
Right.
You want to have that fight.
And unfortunately, with Cecilia, never materialized even as big as this night was.
Right.
And it should have.
It was
And
a
that's
missed
what they're
opportunity.
missing. We need that. So stop the politicking in women's boxing, because you're hurting yourself. We need that. We need the Serranos to say, hey, I'll move up 2 classes and put on a hell of a show.
Yeah, well, she had a nice soup bone to back her up, though. She knows she got power.
Well, the punches from Serrano seem to have more of an effect on her opponent than Taylor's punches. She wasn't shaking Serrano up as much as she was getting shaken up by those punches.
Yeah.
I think Serrano's going to do well at that weight. Probably not any higher, but I mean at 135, man. I think she came in at 133. I want to say.
Yeah.
She was a pound lighter than Taylor, but her punches seem to have more
sharp.
more punch.
That was the
more
effectiveness.
effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's technique. That's just punching technique. But what I saw in Taylor was that she was punching or throwing punches in bunches, as we say. So she was, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
Not much of a jab there, though. Unfortunately, it's more like a hook, and follows with a right, and then throws that same left hook again. But goddamn, what a fight! That was one of the best I've seen. That is just
Ever.
classic boxing. Yeah,
Ever.
exactly. Ever, man or women.
I think Serrano did run out of steam in like the 8th round. I think she did, because of that additional weight that she's not used to carrying in a fight like that. So I think that ended up being a factor in the fight, and her running out of, just having not enough stamina to give it her all the way we know she could from the previous round.
It's one of those things where I think Taylor won the last rounds, the championship rounds, and man, if Serrano stepped on the gas a little bit, if she had it, she gets a draw, without a doubt, and if not a victory. So, yeah, you just gotta show up in those last rounds. And I'm not saying she didn't. She was definitely in it.
Right.
And man, yeah, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time.
Yeah, that was amazing. It was amazing.
With that whole melee at the end in the 10th round, in the final round, you could have gave it to both girls. They both were just throwing haymakers at each other. That round was nuts too.
Yeah.
But what about this Canelo fight this weekend,
guys?
guys?
Exactly what I was getting ready to transition into, Sakura.
What are you talking about?
This is a fight that Lucas, I'm doing the intro for this because this is a fight that Lucas has been asking for 3 years now. He says this is the only man in the division that has any chance of beating one Canelo Alvarez. Yes, he has been asking for Bivol for years. Does he really have a chance, Lucas? Do you see this? Come on now.
Bivol definitely has a chance. Will he win? That's a whole different story, but does he have a chance? Sure he does. I'm kind of interested to see how things are going to work out. I think it's going to be Canelo kind of headhunting early on. But we're going to see. I think Bivol is going to stick to the outside. You're not going to be seeing other fights, though. You know, Bivol hasn't fought anyone like Canelo, so stylistically it's going to be entertaining because, you know, they are very opposite, and technically Canelo should kind of play into the hands of Bivol on how he fights. Will that happen, though? I don't know. Canelo has a tendency of, making people fight his style. So, Rob, what were you getting ready to say, buddy?
Interesting enough, and this hasn't been said enough, and it hasn't been marketed enough. Unfortunately, Bivol just doesn't have that name recognition yet. So everything promotional-wise has been the Canelo show is back. Guys, this is his first crack even at 175 title. Am I correct? Or has he had a 175-pound title before?
Who?
Canelo.
Canelo, I think. Well, I thought he did.
175, yeah. Sure.
So he fought Kovalev, right?
Yeah, that was for a title.
Right.
Yeah.
A diminishing fighter who hasn't even been the same, probably wasn't the same when he fought Canelo.
He definitely wasn't.
No,
he admitted wasn't the same.
Yeah, he admitted himself that he was not.
I saw Kovalev face to face at a conference there. His physique did not say he was getting ready to, that he was prepping for a big fight. He looked like he was pretty done. Shoulders shrugging, kind of. He just didn't look, like he was in it.
So we can all say he was diminished. We can all say.
If I would call it diminished at that point, I feel like it was more like some addiction issues going on there. Alcoholism. That's what I feel in my heart. I don't even feel like it was like because he's older and he's diminished. I feel like it was more a mental and alcohol type situation going on there that made him unfocused.
Your posture gives away a lot of things, and what I saw in him as he was walking around the location there, didn't look like a fighter who was really ready to go. A couple of weeks out, just didn't have it. Just didn't look the part.
And he knew he was getting paid either way, so that's
hell yeah.
But what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to build up is the fact that he is fighting a true 175-pound fighter, champion at that. Bivol is world class, and he brings to that division something that none of the other guys have bought. He's a stylistic boxer. He's not a brawler. Okay, He doesn't go in there and throw haymakers and try to knock you out. He has good defense. He has solid game plan in every fight. He's there in every fight, and he just wears you down. So if they're advertising this and marketing everything as this is just a regular Canelo show, it's not. You're in for a challenge this night, Canelo. We just talked about Reynoso and what issues he has with talented boxers like Shakur.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, me too.
So what's he going to be able to do for Canelo differently in this one? Bivol is a trained machine. He really is. He fights like a trained machine. If you're not going to be able to get through to him, then you're in for a long night.
Yeah, but there's a big difference. There's a big difference in Valdez and Canelo as far as skills go.
Well, I mean, the main issue for me is, will he be able to sustain that boxing for the entire 12 rounds? That's where I'm feeling like we might have some issues. That
is what I'm trying to get at, Shakur. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Oh, okay. Well,
we've seen Canelo frustrated before, and the main time he was really frustrated, he was frustrated with Lara, but he was able to get his shots in enough to win that fight, or at least from the judge's perspective. He really was completely frustrated with Mayweather. He did not win that Mayweather fight. If he gets frustrated in this fight, at this particular weight class, at this division, he's going to get in trouble. He's going to get in trouble because Bivol is not going to go away from that game plan. He is not. He's a very, very technical, mechanical type fighter.
But that's one of the things I heard this weekend, and that, he had trouble with Mayweather because of the style and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is not the same Canelo. It was many years ago, and he's improved his game. He's improved every aspect of his game.
I concur.
He's probably faster, smarter, stronger, better stamina. I mean,
yeah, I concur with that for sure.
As far as boxing skills go, I don't think they get any better than what Canelo can do. And he's got a lot of power. So he doesn't exactly play the part of a boxer. He's coming in as a puncher in a sense, but far more educated than that. Sometimes when you think about a puncher, you think about a guy who's just, well, let's just say it, kind of like Pitbull style. Well, it's not going to work here. That's not him anyway. That's not what he does. He's far more methodical. He's far more invested in his skills. So I hope that really comes out, and that I hope that this fight really, really does what Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor did for all of us, is excite us, as opposed to, a one-sided gimme.
Yeah,
that's what we don't want.
I think this one's going to be a lot closer. One, he's fighting an actual 175-pounder that's, pretty much at the top of his game here. Two, I mean, is there a more disciplined fighter for him to face other than Bivol? I mean,
yes, and his name is Zurdo Ramirez at 175.
Yeah, Ramirez. I'm still hoping for that fight one day. I don't think I'm gonna see it, James, to be honest with you, but I do.
Payday.
It's a payday, but I don't know if Canelo really want that type of workout. And it's been so long since he's been in there with somebody with some super power, like Triple G, and especially at that weight class. And I just seen how he just maneuvered around that Benavidez fight that was offered.
I would love to see
I just
Canelo.
feel like it's a similar situation there with Ramirez possibly. But getting back to Bivol, I mean, I want to see him be this slick and great boxer that Lucas is, eluding to us. I haven't seen a lot of Bivol fights, to be honest with you. So I'm not familiar with how strong his chin is and, how much of a endurance fighter he is. But I know in there with Canelo, you're going to have to dig deep and you're going to have some fortitude. You're not going to be able to think that you're going to get through an entire fight with Canelo and not get smacked with something that's going to feel like God hit you. So what needs to happen is we need to know, is he up for that type of battle if it starts getting into that? Because it's only so long. I mean, Canelo would sit there and toy with you and let you run around and run yourself out until you get tired, and then start pouncing on you. And then what you gonna do? Like,
did you watch? Did you see Dimitri Bivol against what's his name from Long Island, Joe Smith? Did you watch that fight?
I did see that fight.
That's some skills. The guy's got skills and some punching power.
But is it enough skill? Like, I want to know. You know how Katie Taylor at the end of her fight, she drug out that little mean Irish, potato girl from Ireland. She brought it out and brought that grit out. Mm-hmm. I want to know, do he have that? Because that boxing, I'm telling you, it's only gonna last so long with Canelo. He will sit there and let him run around and do all this jabbing and get some shots in here or there. And the second half of the fight is when I'm wanting to know, is he gonna be able to withstand Canelo's power?
I don't know, man. If Canelo lets him, work his plan early, he may dig a ditch for himself that he can't get out of. I think he's got to be competitive from round one and not let Bivol have his way, but pressure him. He's got to pressure him from round one and steal those rounds. He can't give anything away to Bivol.
Pressuring now. He does go about, forcing some walk downs on people. We've seen that, but is it going to be enough? And is Bivol up to when he actually gets hit with Canelo's strength?
The only difference here right now is, I think, mainly experience. Canelo's seen some shit. Bivol hasn't really had an opportunity to see much. He's beat every opponent handedly. I don't really think anybody's came close to defeating Bivol, but is that really saying much with his current opposition? Not really. But I also don't think Canelo's going to run in there like a fool and try to get knocked out. I think Bivol also knows how to use his height, which a lot of people apparently did not that had fought Canelo. And he's going to see that jab. I mean, he is going to make Canelo work on getting on that inside. And I don't think he's really got to worry about Canelo's power either. I mean, he fought Joe Smith. Joe Smith's a true 175-pounder. I think Joe Smith hits a lot fucking harder than Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is still seen as this mythical, power puncher. He's more of a boxer. It's the shot that you don't see that hurts you. He's doing more of those. He ain't no Mike Tyson. I mean, that's for sure.
No, there's only one Mike Tyson.
I think he got a lot of extra power these days, but that's just me. I feel that what's going to happen in this fight is exactly the plan and the layout that occurred with Caleb Plant. That's what I see. He's going to be out slicking Canelo and jabbing him and different, doing this and that. Yeah. And then by the end, Canelo's just going to decide, like, okay, yeah, I'm tired of this. And you look a little tired now, so I can get to you. Like, I mean, that's what I see. I could be wrong, but I mean, why fix it if
go ahead and make,
if it ain't broke?
let's make predictions.
Well, let me get to comments, and then we'll do that here. Rafa Gonzalez, Canelo will stop him with a body punch. Continues, David Benavidez sparring with both Canelo and Bivol in different times. He said lean more on Canelo. Gilberto Ramirez will be guy to beat. Canelo had an interview in Spanish broadcast, and he spoke about fighting one more Mexican fighter, so it's either Gilberto or David, one of them. I think that's another thing. Canelo's still, way too looking into the future. You better worry about Bivol, my friend. You cannot be, I'm going to fight GGG. Then I'm going to fight Gilberto. No, motherfucker, you're going to get knocked out. Maybe none of those are going to happen, okay? You need to focus. He really do got
his whole career planned out, don't he? Like, they done planned out all the fights for him already. And that lets me know that Canelo really is looking for that exit ramp. That they're planning out so many fights and what's going to, eventually happen before he retires.
Well, he's got a 3-fight deal with what's it, Matchroom now or whatever. DAZN.
Yeah, but
so you got to get them 3 fights in. I guess he's trying to say, well, there's my third, and I'm out.
Well, what I'm thinking is if this is a real barn burner, then they go to a rematch and just forget about Triple G in September.
I would probably prefer that at this point
If
myself.
Canelo's fighting at 175, I can't see him fighting at anything less, possibly 168. But that means that Triple G's got to move up to 168.
And
It's just not him.
No, nobody
It's
wants
just
to see
not
it.
him.
It's
I
not
want
him.
to see that. Like, it's
So-
not even, it's already a diminished, to me, it's already a situation where so many years has passed. Triple G is aged, which was the point. And now you're talking about him moving up and adding on additional weight on top of it. Who wants to see that?
Names like Ramirez and Joe Smith, and there's a few other 175ers out there that make more sense.
For sure.
They coming down to 168 just doesn't. It could be done, but see it.
And this is coming from. I love Golovkin, okay, but even if it was, even if it was at 160, I'm currently already thinking Golovkin's on the decline. The fight didn't happen when it needed to. It's past its expiration date. But if you're talking about moving Golovkin to 168, I want no part of it. I don't want to see it. I don't even think it's going to be very competitive. He's going to be adding more weight to an already exhausted Golovkin from his last fight. I don't think it's worth it. Let's just
already
because there's no benefit. But Canelo has already said there's no benefit in fighting Triple G. He said that out of his own mouth. That he don't see, what's the benefit at this point. So they are forcing, DAZN is forcing this fight on him with Triple G because they also have him signed and have been promising him that fight.
And I bet because if not, DAZN might be in breach of contract because I'm sure they were like, oh, we're going to get you this fight and promised him the world. And that's just happening. But Rob, I want to come to you first for your prediction because mainly you always said Canelo struggles with boxers, and Bivol is one of the most disciplined right now that he could face. An undefeated guy who's able to stay disciplined, not get rattled when the things get heated. Can he do so against Canelo and pull it off?
Well, I'm looking at 4 fights that he did actually in a row. Bivol did in a row that are quite impressive. Reeling off this resume against Joe Smith Jr., John Pascal, Isaac Chilemba, Sullivan Barrera. Those were 4 big 175-pound fighters. They were up there in ranks in the division. He went through all 4 of them in a row. No problems, no issues. Made all 4 of them look minuscule compared to him in talent. Okay? Bivol is the truth. If the game plan for Canelo is to have the same type of showing as Caleb Plant, it's not going to be there. The knockout may not be there. He might have to win on points. Remember I said that. Canelo might have to win this fight on points.
You really think so?
Not only do I think that, I think it's going to be close. And what happens in a close fight, the A guy is always going to win. In no way will Bivol get a win. Let you think about it like this, okay? All those fights that you mentioned, Rob, they were all dominant victories from Bivol. None of them, though, were knockout wins. That's not Bivol. That's not how he is. He's a disciplined boxer. He does that really well. And that's what's going to happen in this fight, too. I don't think Canelo can knock him out. I don't think he will knock him out. But there is no way in hell that Canelo's not going to walk out of there the victor. Unless he beats him for every single damn round. Decisively in every round. Because if not, then there might be a riot. That's about the only chance he has. Because we all know Bivol's not knocking out Canelo. Right? So, screw job. Canelo wins, but Bivol really wins in the hearts of the fans.
So Lucas said his prediction. I didn't say mine, but just a little correction for Lucas. Real quick. Sullivan Barrera, he did get a TKO victory. He got it as a TKO in the 12th.
For some reason I thought
he got it in the 12th.
In the final round. Okay. Well, it still went all 12. That's good enough.
So it still went all 12. My prediction: Bivol TKO in 12. You heard it. That's what I'm going with.
And we heard it. And you want to say, you said Bivol with a stoppage of Canelo.
Last round, huh?
In 12.
You gonna put any more on that? You think he's gonna wear Canelo out? Like, is he gonna be gassed? Canelo's known to gas out, but in his last few fights, he's been hanging pretty strong.
He's gonna be gassed, frustrated, and caught with a punch, and he ain't gonna be able to do nothing about it.
My thing,
Well,
I think
he won't have to
Bivol
do the Triple G fight then, if that's the case.
Bivol can frustrate people because he's good at making that negative space. As you come in, as you punch, he takes that small step back. You can't hit him, and then he's able to counter. And he doesn't even care if he hurts you, but he's landing, and he's landing clear for the judges to see. That's really all that matters. And
he's got that European style.
And Canelo's going to have to be leaning in constantly and leaning in. So he's going to have to try to get him on the ropes, and Bivol's footwork's pretty damn good. I mean, it's interesting to me.
Like
this is one of the few times that Canelo, I'm like, man, this fight's going to be good.
Like
the only
I
problem
said,
with it is there's no undercard whatsoever. But go ahead,
Canelo might have to win on points, and he's not used to it. He's going to make a mistake in the 12th, thinking that he's still going to be able to get the knockout, and poof, it's going to be gone. That's my prediction.
Where's the fight at, Rob?
What do you mean?
Where are they fighting at?
They're in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas burns to the fucking ground if Canelo loses. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Well, that's why he
What's
would
the
have
odds?
to knock him out. That's why he
What's
would
the
have
odds?
to literally knock him out to win. Bivol will have to.
Lucas, I think you got Los Angeles and Las Vegas mixed up.
Same thing.
Yeah, where in the world can Canelo lose? Everybody's, no matter where he fights, it's a situation where where everything burns down. I really feel like Canelo is going to be able to figure out a way to get to Bivol, and I think it'll be in the late rounds. So I'm going with Canelo, and it will be a stoppage. And I don't know which round it is, but I definitely maybe championship rounds.
Oh, you think he's gonna stop him too?
Yeah, I think Canelo's gonna stop him eventually. Yes, but if it goes to the scorecards, it's still Canelo. So I mean, either way it goes, it's a Canelo win. I just have to figure out for James' cards that we play in points exactly what I want to say, since I totally lost last week with Serrano with the stoppage. I almost got it. I was this close, James.
Oh, almost ain't gonna help.
Right there.
Yeah, me too. I had Serrano decision too.
Kind of getting it right.
All right, let's see. Ralphie says, don't forget Reynosa has had bad start this year. Julio Cesar Martinez, Oscar Valdez both lose, so Canelo has to win. Canelo win by KO 9 on a body punch.
It just don't work like that, though. This is Canelo we're talking about, guys. Come on. You know better. Ralphie, you know better.
If we're going to wrap it up here, I'm thinking Canelo by decision.
Oh, okay.
You can go a little bit more in depth if you want.
No. I mean, we've covered this one pretty well. And what I think is that Bivol's a tough guy. He's an educated fighter. I just love his stance. He's exceptionally bladed when he fights. I love to see that. And he jabs very well, which is going to really, really make a difference in this fight for him. But I think in the end, Canelo breaks through that defense because he's going to have to mix it up at some point. He's going to have to score some points. And I think that's where Canelo catches him coming in. And I'm thinking Canelo may have to chase him a little bit in the opening rounds, but they're going to have to come to terms in the middle of the ring. If you want to win a fight, you have to. So I'm thinking Canelo by decision.
Okay. I thought you were going to be on my side, James, just a little bit more. You could have counted a TKO in the 12th round for Canelo to counter Rob's.
I would love to see it. Love to see it.
Rob, do you have
I would
any?
love to see his prediction come true in a way. it's a little small part of me that's like, yeah, but Bob, you know, you got to go for the underdog.
Rob, do you have rapid fire tonight or no?
No, it's too late. It's 10. No, it's 10:30. I gotta go.
He said that all that expires with time.
All right.
I would love to see the Canelo Alvarez odds. I was trying to pull it up real quick. I'm sure Canelo is by far a favorite, but
Yes.
I might have to put some money on this fight. But like I said, it's one that actually is going to be competitive, guys. You can count on that.
Yeah.